Welcome to Module 3, where you will learn how to attract high-end clients. In the previous module, you dealt with the planning part of your webinar. Now it's time to start thinking about how will the people come to know about your webinar. This task that stands tall before us is going to take some ingenuity and smart work on your part. Of course, the technology is available for you to make it work effectively. Ask yourself, who is your target audience? The people who will get attracted to your webinar will mainly be those who are either striving to develop their career in that field, or people who are interested in giving their career a push to increase revenue. There may also be highly experienced professionals who are just looking for new ideas and different perspectives. After gaining a new insight into their field of expertise, the ideas presented in your webinar should be such that these people are able to mold them into their own style. To begin with, you should have in mind the number of participants who will attend to your webinar. If this is your first webinar ever, then you may want to start with a small number of participants. As you gain confidence and a little more experience, you can increase the number of people who will attend it. Let's see what else will be required to have your webinar known to everyone. What is the aim of your webinar? What does it want to convey, and with whom do you want to share it? These are the questions which will lead you to ways which can help your approach and attract the right audience. For instance, if your webinar is about adventure sports, then the target audience includes everyone in the world. Of course it is, with the prerequisite that the person has knowledge of surfing and working on the internet. It could include people who are interested in adventure activities such as rafting, kayaking, trekking, and so on. There will be people who may be interested in making a career out of it. Now it depends on the purpose of your webinar, whether it is aimed towards helping people and make a career out of adventure sports or simply sharing the information. Even though your webinar includes both these purposes, then your target audience will be large in number. The audience may include business owners, entrepreneurs, or adventure sports enthusiasts. If you want to invite all of these to your webinar, then the approach will have to be different for each. For people interested in adventure, the sample webinar may be designed in a way that emphasizes on talent and hunger for adventure sports. Whereas business owners, it may be designed in a way that emphasizes on profit, sales, innovative ideas for their line of business. For a start, you can create a website that features your achievements, your aim, how will your webinar help people, what's in it for them, and lastly, it should contain a trial pack of your webinar. This trial pack should be kept free of charge. A page in the website should also invite people to register free of charge and give their reviews on the webinar. After a few people have gone through it, they will be interested in gaining further knowledge about your webinar. The webinar should create some kind of inquisitiveness as well as adequate interest in them, so that they will be keen on taking the next step. You need to remember that the first impression is the last impression, and therefore the content that you present the first time should be interesting and should end with a word or two about how they can gather more information and benefit much more if they enroll to your paid courses. When you make your webinar a paid one, you can change the perspective of your participants about your webinar. Imagine yourself signing up for a free webinar and then imagine it when you're signing up for a paid one. Is your point of view and the level of seriousness the same in both cases? Of course not. You immediately go into the line of thinking that the one which is free can be missed, but the one you have paid for cannot be missed because you have paid your hard-earned money for it. Similarly, another thing in which the participant's point of view differs is that they perceive the paid one to be of higher value than the one which is free of cost. Well, most of us would think that way. People will also take the paid webinar more seriously than the one that's free. That's simple human psychology. Let's consider a situation where you have offered a free webinar in an attempt to enhance your business. What do you think is your unique selling point? Have you included a glimpse of it in the free webinar? If yes, then what does it convey? Do you think it will catch everyone's attention and also create a stir in the prospective participants? These are some important answers to which will decide the number of people that sign up and the turnout on the day of your webinar. Your basic aim of offering the free webinar should be to generate curiosity and interest that it prompts the person to register for your webinar, especially the paid one. The free webinar is an attempt on your part to form the first impression, so you need to make the most of it. It should be so impressive and have such an impact that even someone not from that particular field should have the urge to know more about it. Your initial few slides and the slides at the end need to be very impactful. For instance, if your webinar is about interior decoration, then the first as well as the last few slides should explain how your webinar can add value to their business in terms of sales, revenue, expansion, and so on. How about making a brief but a great video which serves as an introduction to your webinar? This can contain such details which will immediately make people feel like registering for your webinar. This can include things such as what all they will learn and how they can apply it to their field of business. Creating a video is a great way of creating the enthusiasm required for people to register for your webinar. Your enthusiasm should show in the video. That's the most important thing to do because enthusiasm is indeed contagious. If required, make a role play a part of the video which can effectively demonstrate how a person can benefit from your webinar. If there are people who have actually followed strategies you believe in, then have their review shown in the video. Once you have been able to create the enthusiasm it is necessary to not let the momentum just fly past you without making the most of it. What is meant by this is that now your actual webinar should be so good that it justifies all the enthusiasm and also goes in accordance with what you and the others have said in the video. The webinar should be able to retain your participants and convert them into loyal customers. Now that you have understood the target audience, their line of thinking and the kind of actions you should take to attract the right people, you are ready to explore the various ways in which you can make your webinar known. Throughout the process, you should never lose sight of the main purpose of conducting your webinar. For instance, if the webinar is being conducted to promote the sales of your sports gear, then you have identified the target audience as people who are passionately involved in adventure activities or are themselves in the same business. Have you identified what you are good at? Is it blogging or social networking? Well, it's time to identify it and put your energy into it. The first step is to open your own blog and write about adventure sports. You can mention that you are conducting a webinar on the kind of sport gears required for all kinds of adventure activities. You can include all the special features of the webinar, which you think will arouse interest of people visiting your site. It is necessary to start your blog well in time so that people are able to follow your blog if they are keen on attending your webinar. You can cash in on the fact that many people search the news websites for information on various things. So, you could have a press release through any of the wire services such as the Business Wire. On such platforms, it is important to give information such as who exactly is the webinar for and what it is about. Because the search criteria that people use are specific and you need to use those specific words in the headline. Do you think that the younger people will be more attracted to your webinar? If that's the case, then you can promote the webinar through various social networking websites such as Facebook, Twitter, and so on. There are many microblogging services also which you can make use of. You can always use banner advertisements that can easily be displayed on websites related to the topics of your webinar. It would be a great idea to try link building. For instance, to promote your webinar about adventure sports gear, you can joint venture with a travel site for providing a link to your website, which gives them information about your webinar. The underlying logic of doing this is to attract those people to your webinar whose interests are already lies in the same direction. Of course, since this is going to be a paid initiative towards promoting your webinar, so you can decide whether it's worth it or not. This means that each sign-up will entail you paying up a commission to the affiliate website. There are other ways in which you can promote your webinar, such as putting posters or distributing flyers at shops, talking about it to everyone you meet, sending mails to people in your mailing list, sending it across your alumni, and so on. If you don't want to send a mail directly about the webinar, then you can write a short but catchy line about it in your signature line. Well, it is your ingenuity that will play a role here. You think you have done everything to promote your webinar, and the attendance is going to be 100%. That is only if the world was such a perfect place. While different people imply different lives and different priorities, you can expect at least 40 to 50% of people who will register but will not turn out on the day of the webinar. And here lies our challenge. So why not try and make the number of non-attendees lesser than that? After all, you have taken a lot of effort in planning, preparing, and promoting your webinar, haven't you? So you definitely deserve better. If your webinar is free, then you can expect attendance much lesser than the same for a paid one. The question is, what can you do to ensure that these people who have registered themselves turn up on that day? One way is to send reminder emails one day prior to the webinar. There are times when, in spite of reminder mails, people have not turned up. Then you can send a follow-up mail to those who could not come. This mail should contain information that was covered in the webinar, but in short. This mail should be more of a way to promote the webinar specifically to them, highlighting the main features of the webinar. You can also extend some incentives to these people for registering for the webinar again by a particular date, such as free consultations or CDs and other related material at a lower rate. Most of these methods should work well, considering the huge market covering the entire world. Whether you have a popular topic or an unusual subject, equipped with the right methods of promoting your webinar, you'll be assured of success. Making your webinar known plays a major role in the success of your business. You need to promote it in a big way, bigger than you can ever imagine. You may have gone to the extent of attracting the right audience through a free webinar, mentioning it on blogs and various social networking websites. Now let's see what else, maybe on a permanent basis, can be done to promote your webinar and create customer loyalty for a long time to come. Imagine creating CDs and DVDs which customers can buy. What will happen? Well, very soon you will have created a niche for yourself in the industry. Yes, if your webinars are of great quality, you can reach the masses and you can become known for what you are. Of course, it comes after a lot of hard work and consistent effort. Constant follow-ups without seeming to nag is what makes a customer loyal. This further makes him keep an eye on what you have to offer next. You need to go back to basics for it. Analyze what you will include in the CD or DVD. How do you intend to automate your webinar? The important thing is to keep it simple and doable. No special skills should be required to view a video or a CD which contains your webinar. Now let's find out as to how you can make the most of the available resources. Let's first take the most important aspect of your webinar, the content. What will your content now contain? The answer is simple yet complicated. Will it contain the same thing as the one that you gave free of charge the first time? Of course not. Your webinar will now contain the real thing, that is all the value for money spent by your client. It will contain all that a customer loyalty deserves. Your best should be presented in the webinar, being given in the form of a CD or a DVD. Why so? This is because the purpose of distributing a CD or a DVD is to enhance your sales. The idea is to form a lasting relationship with your customer. Which is important, the quality or the quantity? The quality of your CD or DVD should definitely be excellent. This will reinforce the customer's decision of buying it in the first place. It doesn't matter how many CDs or DVDs get sold in a particular month. It is important how many get sold over a period of 1 year. Did the sale create any value in the customer's lives? Have them give feedbacks through some means such as online forums, comments on blogs, reply to mails, questionnaires, and so on. How many CDs or DVDs have been bought in each month? Have the people who have bought a CD take some more copies after going through it themselves. Has their interest level increased or has it gone down? What can you do to increase their interest level if it has gone down? You need to ask yourself these questions to check your success rate. When you have done that, you will have a clear idea on where you stand. This will also determine the things that you should continue doing and the things that you should avoid doing. Imagine that people have started buying your CD. The more CDs or DVDs you sell, chances are that as many will follow with what the webinar says. This will ensure that they are excited enough to share it with others. Promoting a product or a service using the strategy of word of mouth is the most effective one and also the one which has the most impact on people. This is because people trust their family and friends. When your customer has bought the CD or the DVD from you, chances are that you will pass it on to others, thereby influencing them to buy or attend your webinar. So the main purpose behind automation of your webinar is to generate a momentum for sales. For this, both quality and quantity should be in place. There are various forms of automation. The process of making a CD or a DVD is termed as digital manufacturing. There are no setup formalities or expertise required to have a CD or a DVD in place. There are websites which offer such services. The service provider will allow you to design your product with the help of their publishing software. It enables you to review your webinar, weighing different options of design. After the CD or DVD is ready, with the features that you wanted in it, then as per your choice, a specific quantity is manufactured, printed, assembled, packaged, and then shipped to your mailing address. How does digital manufacturing help? It eliminates the hassle of setting up any infrastructure on your part and leaves no scope for errors. The digital manufacturing services are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The service is usually fast and there are no risks. The CDs and DVDs are offered at low prices, and the best part is that the quality offered is excellent. The basic webinar or content needs to be verified. Once the service provider takes care of everything else. Even small quantities can be ordered. No warehousing facilities are required, as you can have a just-in-time kind of orders placed for these CDs. The turnaround time of most service providers is 1 day, so you save on time as well as money. Isn't that hassle-free? Doesn't it make your work easier and more efficient? Now it is up to you to ensure that people buy your CDs and DVDs. Now that your digital webinar is in place, it is again necessary to make it known among people who have attended your online webinar or have seen your free webinar that you offered at the outset. You have already mentioned in your free webinar how will the people benefit by taking a paid webinar. Now you need to further add a word or two about how your clients can benefit by buying a CD which can be viewed anytime and anywhere they want. How can you make the CDs and DVDs known? Your CDs and DVDs can be showcased on retail outlets as well as on websites such as Amazon and CD Baby. You have proprietary right on the CD or DVD that has been designed. The CD or DVD can be directly placed onto CD Baby and other such websites by the service providers. Another thing you can do is inform all those people about the CD or DVD who happen to miss your webinar on the day it was scheduled. This gesture of yours will definitely make them feel valued, letting them know that there is an option for them even if they miss a scheduled webinar. Do you think you can have a webinar recorded for those who could not attend it live? If yes, then there are webinar hosting companies who allow you to record a CD or a DVD also. Recording it will also allow it to be replayed as many times as the person wishes. The recording can be done in your PC and uploaded to a website which is protected by a password given by you. Have you decided on the format which you will have the webinar recorded? This is an important decision because if the format is something which a person cannot view, then it can really dampen the enthusiasm of even the best of your customers. Recording your webinar in a usable and readily available format can turn out to be a major reason for your increased profits. But an important question is that, how do you know when you are on the right track? You can compare the cost and the bottom line every month. However, don't become profit-oriented too early in this process. If you see a trend where the bottom line is increasing steadily, then you can rest assured that you are on the right track. Your ROI has to be commensurate to the effort as well as the capital that you have invested. If this is not the case, then you need to further explore ways to improve the content of the CD and market your webinar better. You need to aggressively promote your webinar. When the word gets around about your CD or DVD, it is sure to generate an income stream. What really comes from your reputation? What is going to contribute to it further? To start with, the clients will judge your webinar based on its content. Then they will see how you treat them. This becomes evident in your services. Are your services oriented towards customer satisfaction, or do your services have an undercurrent of profits? Well, clients are very observant, receptive, and sometimes even intuitive to your actions and gestures. Whether you say it in words or not, your intent is understood by them very easily. Therefore, it is necessary to affirm some things to yourself on a regular basis, if required daily. What are these things? These things are related to the intention of making and conducting the webinar. Is your intention profit only? Are you constantly thinking about profits? Or are you thinking about the clients first and then the profits? Your thinking at this junction matters the most. If they see through you, which will mostly be the case then, they will not feel good about it. They are likely to feel cheated without even having any reason to feel that way. These are some things that can make or break your reputation. But once it is conveyed to the clients or the participants in subtle ways that your intention is to add value to them and bring out the best in their business, then your reputation will definitely become better. Reputation forms on the basis of your daily actions, which are visible to the clients. If you are faced with a situation where you have not been able to cater to a client request, you need to deal with it tactfully. If you behave unprofessionally with one, then it can spread very fast. People may go to the extent of posting such incidents in reviews, blogs, and other means of communication. While technology is indeed a double-edged sword, as it carries a good word fast, it carries a bad word faster. Now you have reached the stage where you've established a personal brand. Imagine your brand all over the country. Now you need to take a call whether you can hand over the responsibility of running it or pass to someone else. You can start a franchise. To find such a person is a major task when you are doing this for the first time. What you can do is draft a job description for it and shortlist people on the basis of the job description. You can specify the age group you prefer or the field the person should be from. For instance, a person from the marketing field with good computer knowledge should be a good job to take care of your facility independently. You can choose to give it to a student also, train him or her for a while, and then slowly hand it over completely. Now he will administer all the activities of your services. Giving it to a fresher or even otherwise will require some training. How to promote your webinar, your vision for the next 5 years, how is the person going to get the copies of the CDs and DVDs for the clients, and all such activities will have to be carried out and monitored on a daily basis. There are certain checkpoints for this as well. Before you start, you need to have all the administrators on one page. What will all this include? This will include the quality, the turnaround times, the general guidelines related to the business, privileges of a paid member, and many more such issues. Individual operation of services at various locations can differ in ways such as the strategies being used to enhance sales. How will you monitor the administrator's performance? Sales made at the respective locations, customer satisfaction, and number of copies of your webinar sold can be various criteria for monitoring their performance. There will be a number of things to consider and monitor when you start a franchise. There are further challenges along the way, but the important thing is to keep your focus on the clients. One last step is to enhance your brand. How do you do that? You will find ways to do it only if you keep up with the changing trends of technology, people's behavior, changing priorities of people, and so on. If you don't keep up with these things, then soon you will find that people have lost interest in your services. The question to ask yourself is, does your webinar make sense in today's times? If yes, then you are doing the right things. If not, then change your strategies according to the time. Actually, what you should think about is staying ahead of the times. People definitely want to stay ahead, so they will be with you always.